Yo, yours truly right here. It's the boy Ambition. Go by Ambito Poe. And I'm here to tackle a few questions on my Something to Say video. It's been a long time coming. You know, it's been something that a lot of people have been wanting to hear from me for a lot of years. And I'm here to let everybody know that I'm an open book. So we're finna get right into it, you know what I mean? This the Something to Say video, hosted by Ambito Poe, Ambition the Driven, and we're gonna, make sure everybody get all of the questions that they need answered. And the very first question that I'm gonna answer today, a lot of people been wanting to know how I started all my music, and I started all my music simply the same way most people start their music, watching different people coming up in ages from a decent range of 12 to 15 to 17. It was different people along the way that inspired different movements that I was making in the music. So with that being said, a lot of the music came from inspiration and motivation of influencement through other people and other things that I was dealing with in my life at those times periodically. And the other question that a lot of people might want to know is who influenced the artistry that I developed. It's an answer with that just as well as anything else. The answer is simple. A lot of various artists. So it wasn't just no one person, and it wasn't just no one thing that each individual was doing. Each individual was doing something accomplishment standpoint wise to keep me influenced in them. So the very first person that I gravitated towards would be Master P. And Master P was a very outspoken businessman about his forefront of bringing other people on with him. He didn't do anything necessarily by himself. He did things that any artist would do when they graduate in a group of accomplishment, is to do a couple of tracks or a couple of CDs or a couple of things that'll benefit you. But majority of the stuff that he did was based around helping people that he knew had something good to give towards his cause and what he was trying to do. And I also had a lot of people that were not as big as Master P. So, every time somebody asks me about who my artist is that helped me get into this or inspired me to get into this, I would like to say that a lot of local artists had a part to play in that as well. And I didn't gravitate towards local artists until it was a standpoint of knowing which artist is going to make me appreciate what he or she has to deliver to the table, because it's different genres that I gravitated towards periodically in my life. So that's why I said she as well as he. So the first local artist that I gravitated towards that inspired me would be an Austin-based artist. His name is Doc Holliday, and he was in a group position as well, and he had his group membership participation with what they was doing, and then he had his solo stuff. And initially I gravitated towards his solo stuff. I didn't really necessarily hear none of the stuff that he did in a group, but I think I overheard some little things that he probably featured on. So I was definitely in the research base of my inspiration. And Doc Holliday, shouts out to, Austin, Texas, and the people that represent. And Doc Holliday was definitely a strong representative for Austin, Texas. So shouts out to Doc Holliday for keeping me moving. And with that being said, I would like to move on to another question. A lot of people ask me, in the industry, how is it that you can go from making music into a business standpoint of the music? And I like to tell people that it's a stepping stone just as well as anything else. If you want to be in it, you have to know which angle you're going to take direction-wise. So if you're taking the angle to be in it, to be a businessman in it, and you don't necessarily have the words to rap, then that's you. You're going to do it that way. But if you a rapper and you got words to rap and you got something you want to say for the masses to hear, not necessarily for the boardrooms and the people in the suits and the people in the executive brain thought process want to hear, then you're going to be into it for the rap position until you get in a level to where you want to make a move. So the deeper answer to that is, when you go into music, your angle got to be a direction, or you got to be directed in an angle. You can't try to weave through it both ways. You could call yourself an entrepreneur in it, make music and handle business, and that makes you an entrepreneur in it. But if you're just making the music and somebody else is handling your paperwork or handling your business affairs in it, then you are considered individually an artist. So you have to take those labels and try to understand where you are in them before you make executive moves to try to do something else with the label. Me personally, I'm an entrepreneur in the artist standpoint. I'm not a businessman to the point of going and go make deals happen and things like that. But at the same token, I can negotiate my own product to be marketed in a certain way that I want it to benefit me, which makes me an entrepreneur. And a lot of artists deal with that because they make the product and then they have no sense of how they gonna get the money out of it, or how they gonna get the fan base out of it, or how they gonna get anything out of it, etc. So you have to have a knowledgeable standpoint on where you're gonna be in this business, in this industry, in this entertainment field. Also, a lot of questions that I like to acknowledge that people ask is, how do you influence anybody in what you're doing? And I like to also go into that by answering that I got into music to influence myself, number one, to intrigue myself, number one. And then number two, I started having a responsibility, which is children. So my children were preferably boys, and they came out doing and liking the things that I like, which is typically natural. So with that being said, my boys inspire me to make a movement in this scenario of what I'm doing. And I really try to reach the mind of an adult by giving my experiences and my dealings with the world the way that I went through them. And you think that you want to reach the mind of somebody who's your age bracket or somebody who's up there in the maturity level, and that's where you develop a fan at. So I've never really had nobody come and validate my music through expression or through emotion, but I hope and pray one day that somebody would actually tell me distant off from initially listening to it and me saying, hey, is that a go hard record, or is that a, beat it to eat it type record, or whatever that is. I think every artist will want somebody to acknowledge their acknowledgement towards where they've been in their life in an emotional sense, to tell them, hey man, your words resonate with what I go through on a day-to-day, or I relate to you. So yeah, with that being said, like, everybody that's in this business would love for somebody to want them to have a true fan, to keep a sense of, hey, I'm reaching somebody other than my inspired immediate family that I would love to get support back from. But yeah, true story, initially my boys was the motivation towards the music that I make and what I give to the masses to listen to. And another question that's often asked is, where does the music come from? Like, where does the music come from in the sense of, when you making a song and you writing it down, where do you come up with these concepts to talk about? And basically I come up with a lot of concepts from reality-based realism, snatching things out of my day-to-day and giving back, so that way people of the masses will be aware of what goes on and what's happening. And with that being said, a lot of my music is deep. A lot of my music is resonated with a soul of a realness. So I grab from what I see and what I would want to know, research based wise, or what I would want to know, readable wise, or listening and observing wise. You know, that type of nature is what I inquire and I endure in my lifetime. I don't consider myself a follower to go get info and bring back for everybody to hear. That's not necessarily it. But in this business, I like to say that you got to be close to the street. You know, you got to be close to the element of what goes on every day. If you take a distant day off, then that's where your music gonna be at, or that's where your come off is gonna be at. It's gonna sound and it's gonna feel like, you know, your mind is not there at the moment. You went somewhere else, and that's what you're gonna deliver. But if you stay close to the street, your music will be street. It'll be gritty, grimy. It'll be rough, raw. It'll be edgy. It'll be, you know, for everybody to say, like, I've been through that. You know, that's what it'll be, because you right there and they right there. So it's like you telling their story or you telling your story, and they relating to what you go through. And that's me. That's Ambito Poe. That's how I understand the music element of where I am in my lifetime. So for everybody out there who have interesting questions, and for people who want to know more about Ambito Poe and the H.Y.H studio movement that is developing on a day-to-day basis, and you want to know about the contacts and how to get in touch with, you know, my business scenarios that I'm dealing with, then definitely hit the YouTube, Ambition the Driven. Like, subscribe, comment. I have a website, myambitionlive.com. It's also myambition.live. So if you can't reach the .com, go to myambition.live. I also have a studio-based phone number that you can get off of the website. So go on there, reach me, contact me, and definitely look out for the next Something to Say video. It's something soon coming, so don't ever think that H.Y.H is going to stop. We always going to keep it moving. We're going to keep on pushing. So for anybody out there who have any kind of disbelief or this kind of, you know, doubt towards what we got going on, I just want to let you know, man, y'all might want to watch us rise to the top, because it's definitely going to be a moment where we're going to be looking down and trying to figure out, hey, man, you could have been on the bandwagon, but you chose to ride astray. So definitely, man, pick up anything that you see on Soundcloud that represents Ambito Poe. I got a new project on there called Airport Atlanta. It's deep. Go get it. You know what I mean? It's one of them initial bangers, and it's something to follow. I'm calling it Streets Essence. So y'all go get that, man. Y'all go look for that. SoundCloud, Ambito Poe, Airport Atlanta. Holla at me.